for Saturday, December 28th, 2019. This is the Pro and the Con Show. I'm your host, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show. Reminding everybody, and I'm not going to talk about this for any moment, amount of time tonight, but the Independence Day event, look for it. Get out there in the streets on July 4th. If you don't know what it is, look at past videos or future ones, and I'll explain what that is. But for today, I want to focus on economics. So we have, there's an opportunity. We have the government basically when it comes to economics. Mr. Trump got into office and he said, well, I'm coming because we're going to grow. And so what they have done, what our government is doing is there is a very lenient policy in regard to money at the moment. So there's two sides to that. So one is the president is strongly encouraging the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the branch of the government that's supposed to be independent of our political process, and their mandate is to try to maintain the monetary system and maintain our economy in some kind of stable way. And this is actually the mandate of government for all of us, is we should be expecting government not to try to grow the economy like gangbusters, but actually to offer stability and fairness in our economy. So what we are doing instead is, and because the short term, we can't seem to look at the long term. In the short term, we are overspending our budget. So on the federal level, we are spending solidly now $1 trillion a year more than we're taking in our federal coffers. Okay, so we're basically, in order to do that, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Department, issues more and more debt service devices. These federal treasury bonds, they're called, and there are various versions of those and so on. But the bottom line is we continue to basically print money, and the thing about money is it depends on our trust. Money is something that we have to trust it. We have to trust that people who make money doing whatever, they're earning a fair wage and doing whatever it is they're doing, and we're doing the same. And therefore, instead of trying to barter chickens for automobile tires, we exchange money instead. And that's great, and that's convenient, and that makes kind of the economy across the nation and economy around the globe function much better than if we literally had to, I'm going to go take 20 chickens and give them to the guy so I can get a new tire for my car. Okay, but the problem is when we are leveraging and basically printing money. It's paper, and when we're printing money, and what happens is at some point, when you're a debtor, when you are in deeply in debt, like our nation is, at some point people start to doubt whether you're good to repay that debt. And so what can happen is those bonds that are considered very stable and reasonable and are kind of like, I hate to use the word gold standard, but they're looked at like they're that the federal government would never default on repaying them. But the reality is that because we are allowing our Congress and our president to go more and more into debt, then we are opening ourselves up every day to this potential, this possibility that there is going to be a mistrust. There's going to be a doubt sown in our ability to run the monetary system. And when that happens, that's when the economy basically fails completely. And so we had a version of that back in 2008. And what we're doing is we're setting up to have future version, some kind of future financial crisis, and it's just a matter of when, because as long as we keep doing $1 trillion, so the federal budget I think is around $5 trillion, and so we're basically spending 20% more than what we're getting, pulling in. Well, in the short term, that fuels the economy. Okay, so right now and during the presidency of Mr. Trump, because we've had this loose policy in regard to debt and loose policy in regard to like loaning money in the Federal Reserve System and so on, because we've had that, the stock market is way up because, there's no other place really to put your money, because interest rates are so low and on and on and on. So, and we are, we are setting ourselves up for a huge, huge fall in our financial systems. And so here's a good analogy. So those, you can get a credit card. So if you're an American, almost all of us, if you're earning any wage, or even many times if you're not, you can get a credit card. And that credit card, you can charge, you can buy whatever. You could go on vacation, you can buy, you could buy an automobile, you can buy furniture, you can buy whatever. You can buy all this stuff on the credit card up to certain limits. And then at some point, people start looking at how much you're leveraged, it's called. So what is the ratio of your debt to your income? And when that ratio gets to a certain place, people start doubting whether you can pay back your debt. And then what happens is they foreclose on you. They call in the debt. They say, we can't trust you to pay back this debt, so we want our money. So here's your debt bond thing. Here's your certificate or whatever. You can take back this paper that you printed and got my money. I want my money back. And this is the serious thing that is coming at us on a national and global level unless we fix our finances. Now, what's going to happen then is we have to be really careful step by step about how we do this. Because when you start cutting the budget, either raising taxes or cutting the budget, you're basically taking money effectively out of the system, okay? And that is going to try to cause the system to slow down. And one of the big problems that we currently have in this country is that everyone works at will, it's called. So you could be fired at any moment. So if the economy starts turning downward a little bit, even just a small amount, and people start getting laid off, and people start, because of historical norms, it just goes off the cliff, because what happens is people start being afraid that they might get laid off. So even though so right now we have like 3.7% unemployment or something. And even if it were to go to like 7% or 8%, people look at that and say, well, 93% of us are still employed, but during this downturn in the economy, I could be unemployed at any moment because I work at will. And therefore, I'm going to contract my spending. I'm going to, hold some money in reserve. And what does that do? Well, that pulls more money out of the economy, and it causes people, to not have products to produce, and so they get laid off. And it's a steamrolling thing. It's like shoving a snowball down an embankment of snow, and it balls hugely because of the way that we do things in this country. So one of the things that we can do to stabilize things, again, working very closely with the Federal Reserve. So if you're president and you're proposing, or Congress and the president, you're proposing to kind of shrink our spending or increase taxes or some combination thereof, working with the Federal Reserve at that point to carefully loosen monetary policy in certain ways, simultaneous to getting some of these taxes and or budget cuts in place. And the other thing that would hugely help, because about 70% of our economy depends on consumer spending, and that's us, that's you and me, to provide some stability. So what the Germans do, and I think it works great. I don't know the current periods now. It's been many years since I've been over there working, but the Germans basically guarantee that any employee will remain employed at their current wage for a period of months. So even if they're told that they're about to be let go, they know, the employee knows, that there's a window of time where they're not really impacted financially. So they've got to go out and find a different job. That's true, but they know that they are able to pay the rent or pay the mortgage and car payment or whatever kinds of debts or payments that they need to make, put food on the table. They know that they're able to continue to do that for a handful of months. And we should institute that exact kind of thing here in this country. If you are employed and your employer decides that they want to lay you off, then you should be afforded, let's say, 3 to 6 months, and to be determined. I'm thinking 3 months. My gut feeling is 3 to 4 months, and so that you're going to continue to make your present wage for 3 to 4 months. And so we could enact this Economic Stability Act, where people still work at will, except for there's this little buffer of 3 to 4 months where they know that even if they do get let go, they can keep their finances in good order while they look for a different position. And this will make all the difference in the world. And we actually had examples of this back in 2008 when the world economy kind of fell into huge issues. And here in the United States, the unemployment rate went skyrocketing back then. It was called the Great Recession. In Germany, this did not happen nearly to the degree that it happened here. And I think I attribute that to this fact that they have this stabilizing effect for the labor force in Germany. All right. So economics. The economics of this country, again, important to us as citizens, as patriots. We have to do a better job taking care of the economy, and that's actually stabilizing it, doing things that help stabilize the economy more than try to drive some kind of grandiose growth perspective. All right, so for Saturday, December 28th, 2019, I'm Michael James Ott. This has been the Pro and Con Show. Until the next show, bye for now.